I remember going in there and I get a call on the radio that Vinnie Paul's down by his kit and he wants to talk to me. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. Fuck, what did I do? And so I go down to Vince and he's like, who tuned my kit, man? I go, I did. He goes, no, bullshit. Who tuned my kit? I said, I did. He goes, why are you fucking lying to me, man? He goes, who tuned my kit? I go, Vince, I did. He goes, all right then, Chief, how'd you do it? I said, I recorded your kit in Texas on my phone because I knew the dimensions were the same. Right there, baby.
Yeah. Right there, baby.
Oh, yeah.
33 and a third. What's going on, man?
Just hanging out here. Just got to San Diego. My son's coming back from being on a ship for the past few months. So I'm helping get his family all acclimated out here and everything moved into their new place and new base housing. Good stuff, man. I love it.
So are you you're in like the secret layer of the Navy down there in Coronado or something?
Yeah. I'm hiding out Miramar style.
Oh, right on. So Top Gun type stuff.
Oh yeah.
Right on. Playing beach volleyball and all that.
Yeah, that very homoerotic scene from Top Gun.
Stuff.
Oh, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah. So, incorrect in saying you are based in Dallas, Texas.
I am based in Dallas, Texas. Yes.
Based in Dallas, Texas. For our listeners who don't know, Patrick comes to us from the band HellYeah. He has been a drum tech for years and years and years and years. Also, currently is slated. If we didn't have a effing pandemic, would have been out with Lamb of God this summer doing all the metal fests. Right. Cruise. And I wanted to bring him on. Yeah. And I wanted to bring him on the show because I think he has a very unique perspective on what's it like to be a working guy in the music business, making rock stars things go, but also he's an entrepreneur in the fact that he has a 33 and a third Road Dog blend. King. There it is. If you're watching this on YouTube, he's showing the frosty bag. We got to give a shout out to Pauline.
Absolutely.
Buttermark. I mean, who brought us, who has allowed us to have them as a sponsor on the show. By the way, Rock Coffee and Patrick are a sponsor of the Music Combine.
Absolutely.
And, you have an interesting story in the sense that you weren't necessarily in the music business or the touring business until your 40s, right?
Yeah. Well, in my 30s. Yeah. I started out, before this all came about, I was working in automotive finance. And I was running the fulfillment department at a third, what we call the third-party auto finance business, where those types of people that if you've got some dents or dings on your credit, we're going to help you out.
Oh, so the old subprime loan.
Oh, that's right. Nothing like a 23.99% interest rate for your for your credit rating.
I've seen a few of those. Man.
Oh yeah, but it was good. It was a lucrative business right up until. In 2008, when the housing market crashed, third-party lenders were the first to get the hit. And we took the hit, and as soon as it happened, the door shut down. That was it. They closed us up.
I had the thing with me, man. I was in the mortgage industry. So
so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right, same thing, subprime. And then right when that hit, I was painting fucking houses. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that kind of led to you kind of pivoting your situation or redesigning how you were going to make money, essentially, right? And support.
Yeah, it was what happened. The last year that we were in business, HellYeah had released their first CD, and I was part of their camp yet. But I knew a friend of mine who was a comedian at the time was friends with Vinny and Dime before Dime left us, and I ran into him at the CD release party for HellYeah's first CD up at the clubhouse in Dallas. And he was like, you still play guitar?
Surprise, the clubhouse.
Yeah, surprise. Yeah, the clubhouse. It all comes back to the clubhouse.
It all comes back to the clubhouse.
But yeah, we ran into each other, and then we went and did his comedy thing. And I just played guitar on some song parodies he was doing. And after we built up the act and added sound effects and lights and all this stuff, Vinny's was like, he liked what we were doing with it. And he was like, hey, you guys want to take this thing to Vegas? I can get you a room out there. So he hooked us up with a showroom out there that we did the show in for a while. We did it like 5 months at this one place just off the strip. And then we did it for another 3 months over there at the Hard Rock. And then
it was like a residency?
Yeah, well, kind of, sort of, but in a smaller scale. They used to have this place, this bar called Wasted Space. And we would perform in there. Like, it was like one night a week. We did 5 nights a week or 6 nights a week at the other place. Came over there, did 1 night a week at the Hard Rock just to kind of get our feet wet, see how that was going. And after that, it was like when the show finally came to an end after those 8 months, I told Vinny, I was like, hey, man, if you guys ever need somebody on the road, let me know. And sure enough, they called me up. He and Brydog had called me up like 2 months later and said that Chad, their singer, needed an assistant. And I was interested. So that's how it started for me.
Wow. So just so our viewers know, basically Vinnie Paul, drummer of Pantera.
Which by the way, we're just passing 2-year anniversary now?
Yep, 2 years.
2 years, about 2 days ago. This was taped on the 24th of June.
Yeah, it was on the 22nd when he left us.
22nd, yeah.
He's
And,
sorry, go ahead. Legend, and they're both, obviously legends. And just to speak to that really quickly is, we grew up in Pantera. Vinnie Paul, I'm a drummer. He's my favorite, probably one of my favorite drummers of all time. And just when Mike told me about knowing you, and I was like, that would be really cool if we can get him and his perspective from that side of the industry on the show. And know that you got to, I mean, I'm acting as a little fanboy here, but like set up his drum set, it's like pictures of his drum set on my fucking wall. Like, buddy, set my drums up like this. And I didn't have the second bass drum, right? Cause I'm not going to carry that around and gig. I'm not going to do that, but I set it up in a way where I tried to make the toms like set up exactly and angled perfectly, just like him, and added my electric pad here and I copied him, like, cause when you're little, you're inspired, right? So
absolutely.
Just to be able to pick your brain.
It's mom's pots in your bedroom, dude. Of course.
Yeah, exactly. Any kind of Tupperware, anything that'll make noise.
Right. So that's so cool, man. So it's great. It's great to have you and hear your story. So you can commence now. I'm sorry about that little interlude.
No, that's cool. That was kind of the weird thing, is like a year after, about a year and a half after working for Chad, Cat, Vinny's former tech from the Pantera days, had left the camp, and Vinny calls me back up when we got back to the States, and he had a few interim fill-in guys, one of which was Mikey B, who was with Lamb of God at the time, and Mikey B ended up showing me some of the stuff later that he did when we joined up on a separate tour. And then, but the first thing when I got started with Vince, he just called me up. He and Brydog again called me up, and they're like, hey man, are you up for a challenge? I'm like, yeah, are you training me? Kind of cocky like. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh shit. Like, oh, now I'm really called to task. I got to figure this thing out.
Let's talk about the task.
Oh man, I went to the house and he calls me. He was like, be at the house at 6. I was like, cool. So I show up at the house, and there's a drum set up in the living room. And he's like, yeah, man, come on in here. Let's talk for a second. So we go in the kitchen, and he's just telling me about the gig. He's like, I'm going to, rely on you for everything, man. You're my backbone. You're going to need to do this and that. And he's pouring me a shot as we're talking. And I'm like, cool. So I take a shot. It's normal. It's what we do at Vinny's house.
Jaeger?
So, no, this was Sky Vodka. We're doing Sky Vodka shots. And he goes, now I want you to go with
grins here.
No, no, not that day. Eventually, yes, a lot of them. That day, he goes, he was like, I want you to go in there in the living room and get this kit in your head, man. I want you to get it fully in your brain, wrap it around it. He goes, then I'm going to have that dude over there take it apart. And dude named Big Handsome, we called him. And so I go in there and I look at the kit, and I get it all, I think, in my head. He has Big Handsome take it apart, put it all over the place. And I'm like, man, this is going to be a challenge. He's like, all right, well, let's come back in here and talk. So we go back and talk. Another shot, go back in there, put it all together. He goes, all right, not bad, not bad. You did all right, but this is kind of loose and this needs to be fixed and this can't ever happen like this. And he straightens it up. He goes, get it back in your head. And then the second time, once I got it in my head, he had me tear it apart and move it around. And then back and forth we went from the kitchen talking and shots to back in there. About the fifth or sixth time I did this, he walks in, he goes, well, man, you got it right. You got 3 days. We're going to Australia. And I'm like, holy shit.
Wow.
He goes, I go, why'd you get me drunk, Vinny? He goes, if you can do this shit when you're drunk, you can do this when you're sober. I was like, fair enough.
Prophetic words from the Abbots.
That's right.
Prophetic words from the Abbots.
It was amazing.
It's like, I mean, how do you're a guitar player, as I heard you before, so you've been around drums forever, I'm sure, but to know how to set them up for the first, what is that, like one of the first times you actually set up a drum set? Or was it many times? Okay, so there you go. So you're a little virgin on setting up drums in the first place. So that, that's not easy. It used to take me when I was younger like 2 hours to set up my kit, just because I wanted everything placed perfectly. And then as you get older and out, you realize you got 15 minutes to set up things. So you
you learn to do it really quick. But the dude I was working with, the comedian, like he would come on stage and like he had just various songs that he would do as parodies, and I would just play guitar behind him. And then by the time we made it to Vegas, I ended up running sound effects and had some lighting stuff. And then we got another lighting guy because that even got too big to run both of them simultaneously. So we were both working the show, the lighting guy and then me running the sound effect stuff.
Awesome.
It was crazy, man.
That's so cool. You went from working in the subprime market, making tons of and walking into a showcase and then meeting, hanging out with your buddy, and then look at the path that you took.
Yeah.
Vinnie Paul was, when I was growing up, he was endorsed by Tama at first.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Pearl drums.
Right.
And then in HellYeah, I believe he was playing D drums.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I don't know if you know why he went from one to one, but like they're all great companies.
He also played Remo in there at one point.
Yeah, he did. Right, he had the brick. The huge.
He played Remo at one point.
Yeah, he did. So just kind of wanted to. The sizes of his tom toms were.
They were huge.
Right, like what were they? 13, 14.
14, 15, 18. And they're all squared off. So it's 14 by 14, 15 by 15, 18 by 18.
Those are custom because they don't really make. That's crazy.
Those are fucking huge.
Oh yeah, they're cannons, man. And then the kicks, of course, were 24 by 24.
Mm-hmm.
So they were massive.
2 feet by 2 feet. So did
2
you
feet
by 2 feet? Were those custom? I mean, I'm not a drummer, so were those custom made heads as well?
Oh,
no, not custom made heads. It was just stuff. By the time I came around, we were just strictly using Evans. Okay. And Evans had that stuff ready to go at a moment's notice for him. It was the nice thing about working for Vince is that anything the man wanted, it was just like call the companies. Here's what I need, and they're like, done, bam, here you go. And it was great.
He was on. I remember when he got on Modern Drummer when we were watching those Pantera videos back in the day. I love those videos. And Modern Drummer, and they threw him the magazine. He's like, "Oh, I made it! I made it!" Oh, that's like a big deal, a very big.
Was that the one that had him on the cover where he's got like the red and black flannel and the blue headband? I think.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Badass, and he, what's cool about him? Like you can wear they're called a head. The company. The gloves that he wore Newman wide receiver gloves, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
And
wow, Greg, coming up with a freaking wow.
Well, I played football for a long time, so I'd be like, I'm a drummer, and I'd be like, wait, he's using wide receiver gloves. That's so fucking cool, man. He's a trendsetter, dude. He's just the shit. So I'm gonna stop being fanboy for a second. And so your experience, you were back where after you were in Vegas and you had those shows, and then you got asked to go on the road, set up his kit, and he fucking threw you through a whirlwind of getting drunk and trying to set up his kit like 3 or 4 times in town. And then now you're going to Australia, and now the story begins for real.
Yep. And it begins, and we got through. I knew, like I said, Mikey B, who was out with us we're doing the same circuit because of that festival for Soundwave. I kind of had him to rely on as far as like the live shows, as far as like the big festival shows.
So your first tour with them was Soundwave? Wow.
Yeah, right off the bat.
Wow, which used to be the Big Day Out Festival. Yeah, man. Whoa.
Yep. And we went out and did that one, which was great because we get to they have these little side shows on the off days called Sidewave. And the Sidewave shows, it was like us, Black Label Society, and somebody else. I forget who was on it, but we're there. And the first day that we're there, so it's like you got the big massive show, and then we got the lower key show doing the club stuff. And then I remember going in there, and I get a call on the radio that Vinnie Paul's down by his kit, and he wants to talk to me. And I'm like, oh, shit, I'm in trouble. Thought, what did I do? And so I go down to Vince, and he's like, who tuned my kit, man? I go, I did. He goes, no, bullshit. Who tuned my kit? I said, I did. He goes, why are you fucking lying to me, man? He goes, who tuned my kit? I go, Vince, I did. He goes, all right, then, Chief, how'd you do it? I said, I recorded your kit in Texas on my phone because I knew the dimensions were the same. I did it by ear. Check it out. And I played it for him on my phone, and he was like, holy shit. And he started smiling, turned around and walked away, shaking his head. I was like, am I still in trouble? I don't know what's happening right now. And then I got a call from his right-hand man, Bradog, and Bradog, he goes, I said, dude, is Vince pissed at me? He's like, nah, dude, he's blown away. He goes, he's never heard of anybody doing anything like that. I was like, oh, cool. I got a gig. And they just kind of stayed with him ever since. So
yeah, and that's so interesting because that's a question I had for you is I've known you for a short period of time. I think we've known each other for about a year or so. Mm-hmm. And one thing I know about you is, your giving nature as a person, the good guy you are. And, the thing, because this show, we don't have dicks on the show. Our thing is don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
And you're the yeah. So go to Teespring for our Don't Be a Dick merchandise. We got to get you a shirt, actually. Remind me on that one. I got to get you one. But the thing is you always are the guy who does it service and a smile. I don't see you as the guy who complains. I don't see you the guy, and everyone I talk to in the industry, whether it's Steve Shaw, who was on 2 episodes ago, or anyone else, the one thing they say about P. King is that he's this awesome dude.
Thank you.
Where do you kind of get the service and a smile from? Is there a deeper purpose to what you do for musicians? Because you see a lot of crew guys who are just like fucking ego all day long, and just they're not good at their job, but it's everyone else's fucking fault, and somehow they still have a fucking job, and it's like
I've met a few.
You and I both. Yeah. Unfortunately, none of our friends are like that, but there are a lot out there who are, and kind of what's kind of like your motto or your kind of mindset to when you're serving an artist and you're doing the things you're doing for them on the road?
Right. For me, it's just a matter of the artist is there to, come in there, kick ass, play for these fans that want to hear what they want to hear and see the bands that they love. And my best thing is I want to make sure that they get that experience. The fans deserve that experience. Wow. The little kids coming up that are looking up to their idols and stuff, and that's what they're seeing. They deserve the best possible thing they can get. So I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure that they get exactly that every time. And I want the people that are out there to have a good time. I want the local hands to have a good time. I want my crew to have a good time. I just want everybody to enjoy. I mean, what do we have to bitch about? I mean, we're out there on the road. I've done the everything from the dirtiest blue collar of jobs, working. I used to climb around inside of a thing that made cinder blocks, this big ass concrete machine, and chisel it out at the end of a 16-hour day, and I've done all kinds of odd jobs where you just got to bust your ass all the time. So there's a lot to be thankful for in what we do. So we have nothing to bitch about other than maybe equipment fucking up.
So what's the favorite thing about your job? And speaking of drinking, besides your morning ritual?
Oh yeah, the favorite thing about my job is just I'm a creature of habit, for one thing. So it's doing the same puzzle every day, and I love it. But the difference is going into different venues and doing it. It's a challenge every day to make everything that you have, depending on what band you're with, work on whatever stage that you're on. because not everything's the same. Power is going to be different. The setup is going to be different. Whether or not you can hang a backdrop or a kabuki drop depends, on what they have there in the club. And sometimes it gives you leeway to get adventurous, and I like that shit. So it makes it fun.
It's very cool.
Right on.
What kind of like give me like a challenge that you come across you've in a real life situation when you're venue to another venue where
All right. We'll say for Black Label Society, Zach uses a kabuki drop at the front of the stage, and you will have to see what is available in-house for you to hang it on.
Or because you guys don't travel with your own truss.
Right. Exactly. And if it's, it depends. It might be if it's a union house, they're not going to let you do it, which I kind of skip most of those anyway and do it anyway. But it's a matter of climbing up trusses and shit that they already have there. Except in New York. Except in New York. That's right.
Because you might be floating in the river.
Yeah, that too. There and I think the only other place that wouldn't let me do it was the Grove in Anaheim. They wouldn't let me do it either.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But other places I've gone in,
huh?
it's a union house. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I remember when Shaw was out with Nothing Face and he was on the Reinvent the Steel tour, and Pantera played 3 nights at Hammerstein. And this is a New York story. Pantera had, on the Reinvent the Steel tour, had that huge Pantera logo sign that shot fire and CO2 and everything else. I'm sure you've seen it in their warehouse. And the good fine fellas of New York Union Society freaking decided that, hey, you ain't going up, man. This is, a union, blah, blah, blah. And it was a real fight to get them to see it their way. Like, who knows, maybe money exchanged hands, but it went up without a hitch. But that's a real thing. Especially dealing with pyro, it's a little different, but
kind of brings me back to the movie Fight Club when the owner walks in. He's like, "Who said you could come here?" They're like, "Oh, we got permission from Bob or something." He's like, "Well, the sign on the fucking place says Lou's." He's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm fucking Lou." Get the fuck out. He's like, "Oh, Lou, we love this place."
I'm Lou.
I'm Lou.
I'm Lou.
I think I might have met Lou once or twice somewhere out there.
But it's the thing is like, yeah, it makes sense. Like if you're not that challenge every day. I remember the first tour I did, major tour I did was the band called Marcy Playground. And not only was I doing monitors, but I was also their guitar tech. And needless to say, I got fired from that job because it was just too much to do and I was too young. Didn't have the experience, as they say. But the thing is like every day was a different challenge because either we were doing fly shows or we were on our bus. And we didn't have shit was not the same every day because it was those like Christmas radio shows. So one day you'd be at La Zona Rosa in Austin, and then the next day you'd be at the Opium Club in Los Angeles. Totally different. And then the next day you'd be in Missouri and St. Louis for whatever Christmas rock show that was. So it was like, I get the challenge thing. So back to you, Ken, about, doing the challenge, like, how, are there days where you just go, you know what, fuck it. Or you just positive attitude, shoulder down, head up, and here we go.
Yeah. Well, it's, it all goes back to the old ass adage that the show must go on. And it does, it has to. So you're like, we got to make it work. So I don't want to, whatever the problem is, let's find it, fix it, make it doable. And the way that a buddy of mine described it to me a long time ago is he's like, you're like the king of Band-Aids. He's like, if something's wrong, he goes, doesn't matter if it's going to make the show work from here on out. He goes, you're just going to find a way to make it fucking work. I go, we don't have a choice. We have to do this. So do it.
Those are the kind of that should be doing what you're doing because it has to happen, and the attitude and not getting sidetracked with hangups that come up. This ties into a question that I have, and this is important. Do you, as a person, right, on the road for let's say more than a couple months at a time, do you get like sad or lonely, or like do you find you see other people like dealing with like, oh, I want to go home to my family,
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
How that affects you?
Yeah, you get out there and people, so many people that have no idea about that kind of stuff. It's really true. You do get out there and you're out there for months on end, and you miss home, you miss family, you miss, your friends, and you miss just hell, waking up late, or anything else. And you really wish you could do those things, but you just get up every day and you battle through it and you do your thing. And I always trying to find a brighter way to do it. For me, it's like, I get away from home, and even though my kids are grown, I still miss them.
Sure.
I miss my girl. I miss, I don't have pets anymore, but my mom's still around. I miss my mom, and I miss, just other family, seeing my brother and whatnot.
Sure.
I don't, there's just things that you miss on a day-to-day basis. What keeps me strong and going through it is like, we already knew we were going to get into this. So we already know what kind of schedule we're looking at.
Sure.
So there's no need bitching about it. Let's just do it and have a good time doing it while we're out here, because there's no point in being depressed.
You're pumping me up, bro. You're pumping.
Yeah, man. That's the whole thing.
We were just talking about the mind, like the mindset of like you're on the road for a long time, and then just the loneliness setting in. Like,
oh, dude, I've had that a few times. The worst is like the bunk anxiety.
Oh yeah.
Like when you're in the bus. The thing that really made me quit it back in 2011 was like you'd be in the bus, and I was the tour manager of this band called the Coronas from Ireland.
There's big band.
Timely, right?
Yeah, right.
Shout out to Davey and Danny. But anyway, but yeah, man, we freaking, I would sit there and it was a lot of work, and we were doing things. And I remember we were on this long ass haul from like San Diego, nonetheless. We had to go from San Diego to St. Louis in the course of like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a haul. And that's a lot of part of the country where there is not a fucking thing out there. And I remember waking up in the bunk, like in the middle of Kansas somewhere after we left like Durango, Colorado. And like, I remember the next morning waking up with like just straight anxiety in my chest, just going, is my phone bill paid? Is this going on? What's happening? Is this all right? And like, I'm just thinking of the 10 million things on an off day where I should just chill out, have a beer in the morning, and just go about my day. But I was like, okay. And in my back of my head. But like, yeah, I mean, that thing's real. It gets lonely after a while.
That leads me to a question that's very important. Finances. When you're on the road, like how is that negotiated? And when it is negotiated, are those negotiations ongoing? Playing it by ear from day to day, because if the band doesn't get paid, there's a guarantee they don't mean they have a problem with the promoter. You're at the whim of the band.
Never.
So
not that level, I would think.
Yeah, no, I don't have that problem with it anymore. Well, not that I ever did really. Luckily, whenever I got into this, I got into it with a level of band that was everything was good. So if they had a problem with anything, it was like when I started, and they're like, "Here's what you're gonna make. Here's what your pay is gonna be." It's gonna be that regardless. So now some places, some bands, some management companies will make you work based on a show. So if you say we're scheduled for 3 shows or 4 shows that week, and you missed one, then they're going to dock the pay for that show because you didn't actually do it.
Sure.
Luckily, I've never had that problem. So I'm thankful for that, for who and whatever, that has never been a problem for me. So I'm thrilled.
That's very fortunate. And I see that you are a very grateful person. So, very deserving of those types of situations. However, as a listener, viewer, reader of this, it's like, well, if the bands are dealing with, a lot of other bands, not in that type of situation, it's like, I mean, I got offered to go on the road with a couple bands before, and it was like, oh yeah, we'll pay you $10 a day. You'll get the experience. And if we sell merch, we'll give you $100 every time we make, if we sell anything at all.
The break point on the merch, because, that's a thing.
I'll just, and just,
right.
But yeah, so that answers that question. So I guess you were going to tell me before about how you got the whole Rock D coffee.
Oh, the rocked coffee stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like it started. No, we a long time ago we had gotten involved. Me and Jeff Buttermark had met each other during the tour that HellYeah did with Adrenaline Mob.
Mhm.
And we stayed friends.
Right, because they were sponsoring them, right, at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was cool because we stayed friends for all that time. And then at one point, Rocked was going to. This is back. They were doing. They had their whiskey, vodka, and I believe a tequila at them that time. I think that's right. And they were going to wrap Vinny's bus for us. But there was apparently we ran into some issues with the state of Florida and advertising alcohol on the side of our bus.
Sure.
Which our bus, by the way, hated Florida, hated it. Man, we made it to mile marker 1 and bus died. That kind of shit. It was horrible. Every single time we went to Florida, we had problems. And we love Florida, just the bus didn't.
Right.
So years go by, and I still kept in contact with Jeff and everything. And then Jeff and Pauline had hit me up and talking about, HellYeah, maybe doing a coffee with them. And I was like, cool, let me talk to them. And I talked to the guys, and I don't know, it's like if it's just pivotal timing or what was going on with everybody at the time that this came up, but they didn't kind of jump on getting back to them really quickly at the, when they were needing to move on the product. So I was like, okay, well, talking with Jeff, and he goes, well, they haven't got back to me yet. He goes, I'm sure they'll get back to me at some point. Because if you know of anybody else that might be interested in this, would you let me know? I was like, yeah, I know somebody. He was like, who? And I was like, me. And then right after it came out, I was like, oh shit, I got to back this up. I don't really even know, what I'm saying about this. But it was true. I did. I was like, yeah, I love coffee. I'm a coffee addict in a big way. And we got to talking about the, he was like, well, what would you want to do? And I was like, I don't know, man. Send me out some of what your product is and let me check it out. So he sent me out some stuff, and he's like, let me know if you want to do a specific bean or if you want to do a blend of beans or what. And I was like, all right, cool. So he sent me out this bag, and I was out, I think I was with Baby Metal at the time, but I was out in LA, and I was up in this house in the hills that I was hanging out in, and had this bag, and I'm like, man, I need a grinder. I need to put this together. And I didn't have a grinder. So I'm like, fuck, man, what am I going to do? And I look over and there's like a Kroger grocery bag, those plastic bags. So I threw 2 handfuls in that. I was like, what am I going to use to grind it with? Bottle of vodka. So I got the bottle of vodka and started rolling it over. And I got it fine ground, and it took forever, by the way. Took all the coffee out, threw it off in a drip machine. And what came out of it, I was just like, holy shit. This is what I wanted, exactly what I wanted. And it was a blend of 3 different beans, and it came out phenomenal. And I hit up Jeff back, and I was like, hey, yeah, go forward with this. And he's like, all right, cool. I'm going to have Pauline give you a call back. She calls me back. She's like, what do you want the bag to look like? And I'm like, well, of course it's got to be a black bag because, metal. But I need this to represent something metal.
Darkest of all bags.
The darkest of all.
The darkest
exactly.
of all bags.
The darkest of all bags. The black bag of death. So we got this bag together, and she goes, well, what do you want to call it? And I thought about that, and I was like, well, it's a blend of 3 beans. And to me, the 333 with Diamond Vince and everything is also synonymous with heavy metal, and it's that power of metal and everything that Vince and Dime represented, and the state of rock and roll, period, man. Be decadent, be aggressive, be in your face, be loud, have a party, get nuts, all the things that rock and roll that we all grew up with were supposed to be, not just the metal and the music, but the strength and the power behind it and everything. And I was like, that's what I want it to be. It's that spirit.
The sense of freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. And then give it back to the Road Dogs, man. Give it back to them. And give it something for the boys that are busting their ass every day to get behind get all the behind the scenes stuff together and make it happen for them. So he was like, what do you want to call it? I said, Peking's 333rd Road Dog Blend. And that's how it came about.
Wow.
And I sent him some art, and we just kind of discussed the artwork on it, and I sent them something over. They handed me something back that was better than what I expected.
Always good.
And it turned out really well, and it became that thing right there.
How we doing?
Amazing.
And the cool thing was, she She goes, hey man, she goes, I need a statement for the back label. And I was like, give me 5 minutes. So I got off the phone and I just started, typing on my phone and came up with what it says on the back of it. And it turned out great. And it was perfect for what we needed it to be. And it just turned out to be a damn good product. I'm really impressed with it.
It's your real man of genius statement.
That's
real
my
man of genius.
That's right.
333rd. Real man of genius.
Wasn't that the guy from like Survivor that was doing all the background stuff?
I believe so.
It sounds like him.
With 33, that 33 in the third, 333, 33rd parallel, 33 is the Freemasons and shit. That's kind of,
you
have that extra 3 there, but it's pretty significant in a lot of other ways too. In the fact, just hippie metaphysics.
Yeah.
It actually ties in. But I love the fact that what you're trying to represent. You're not trying to sell something to sell something. You drink coffee. You're a passionate person about music, and this kind of is your fuel on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Kind of ties into everything. Ties into the next question. So based on what's going on, the state of events right now, how's 2021 shaping up for HellYeah and you? Is there anything coming down the pipe? I mean, are renegotiations of the tours? What's going on?
Right. For right now, with everybody's kind of delaying everything until 2021 because we have to. We don't really have a choice in the matter. But and that just and the fans need to know that this is all based on. It's not based on what the bands want to do, because every band I've been with wants to be out there right now. They're dying to be out there right now. All the crews want to be out there too. The problem that we have is, if you've got, a band, it's one thing if you're playing to say, 50 to 150 people in a bar, that's one thing. But when you're looking at crowds of 1,500 to 10,000, that becomes an issue real fast with getting groups together as far as governments are concerned and everything else, because they're not going to allow it.
Yeah.
So we're stuck. So everybody's kind of gearing up for something to do next year. Tentative plans. There's a lot of people that still have plans for fall of this year that they're not giving up on yet, just in case things get lessened enough that we can do that, or this thing gets squashed. So just, everybody right now, just 2021 should be the year of just really blowing this out of the water.
Well, I guess that's the best answer you can give, based on what's going on and just kind of playing things by ear and seeing what's coming down the pipe, setting up things. And we see, just talking with Dave Shaw, our first episode, and, that he's managing and how she's handling basically pivoting her business model into really engaging with fans now, and virtually. And, you have a lot of bands that are just, that's the way they make their money. I mean, like you see Seven Dust, they're like tour dogs too. That's
love those guys.
Oh yeah.
So it's like,
and one of the best bands live, actually. I love Seven Dust. Love.
It's one of those things, like, how do they maintain any sort of basically consistency and kind of earning a living without touring? I mean, now you can go through the government. These bands are they eligible for the PPP loan to be able to pay?
They are.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Yeah. KHCL, I mean, I'm not going to speak on people's business, but like, there's bands that are getting PPE loans. There's management companies that are getting PPE loans.
And that's good to hear. That's good to hear, because you're deserving of it. It's just, does our government, and I'm not getting political here, support the arts in that way, where it's like, are you approved for that? Because you are a legitimate business, essentially. And it's not your normal traditional brick and mortar business, but in brick and mortar, you're going town to town, city to city playing. And there needs to be some type of, payment for being.
Yeah, but you got to understand too, Greg, like bands are incorporated. They're LLCs.
Sure. Just,
they might go by Butt Nugget Music Incorporated, but they're incorporated. So they as small businesses, they're allowed. I think that's Allison Chains' publishing company. I think it's like Butt Nugget Music or something like that. Yeah, really. If you look on the first Allison Chains album, it's like publishing by Butt Nugget Music. Anyway, little fun fact. But the thing is that, you know, they are corporations like anything else. And I know there's a lot of bands out there, and I've talked to a few managers. Some are pissed about it, that managers have actually taken the loans and not used them for what they're supposed to be using them for. But I think that goes with any business.
Yeah.
And, but you know, I think also that, yeah, they're incorporated, man. I mean, that's the way it goes. So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, King, but I mean, like,
oh no, you're fine.
Have you been? I know some crew guys have actually got money from those PPE loans and actually have been tided over by,
Compensation.
by that compensation. Has that happened for you or no?
No, actually, that's for me. None of that really came to pass as far as the PPE loans. But then again, to be honest and fair, I didn't check with them. One of my things has always been to try to do my damnedest to not rely on them for every little thing of my life. So I just find another way to make it happen.
A good attitude, man. And that's the thing. I think artists are even, they're ignorant to the point where they don't know about this stuff because it's something they wouldn't even look into on their own. So but it is available. It is available. So, you know, it's something that if you take the initiative, there's a way to actually benefit from it. However, the attitude you have, I think, is the right attitude. It's like, okay, I need to find other ways to you know, monetize my efforts and
manifest destiny.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's the only way to me that there is to do it. You know, see something, become it, make it happen. You know, and speaking of which, as far as like bands and things, the coffee stuff is not an endorsement by anybody's estates or anything else. This is clearly something I did solely on my own. So I didn't want anybody thinking like,
no,
I got the blessings from anybody to do all this stuff. And that being said, it ties back into doing this. It's like not relying on them to you know, basically provide me with an income when nobody's doing shit. So there's no reason for that. I just figured I'd take care of things on my own. And a lot of people, I hopefully have found ways to you know, make themselves, well, just be able to take care of themselves during this time. Because I know a lot of people have a really hard time with it. And a lot of people have done this their whole lives. Right. So they don't know about, you know, the options and things that are out there because it's all you know.
Yeah.
So you know, the best thing to do is just think outside the box and come up with more ways to, you know, provide yourself with a stream of revenue.
Yeah. And I mean, not that we get paid for this podcast at all, but we created this because out of necessity we felt for the industry overall.
Yep.
And, you know, what's interesting is, you know, you talk about, you know, self-reliance. You know, the one thing I've always tried to do in my day job is, you know, make musicians self-reliant. And it's so true. Yeah. Like this was such an eye opener. Like, you know, I was a single income and, you know, this hit and it was like, well, you're not a single income anymore because the market's down and whatever. If people don't know, I'm a financial advisor by day job. So, you know, and I'm not giving advice when I say this next, but you know, you have to have multiple streams of income. I feel as time goes on, that's the way of the world.
It really is,
you know,
it really is. It's like taking the initiative to, you know, I'm in sales and marketing and I'm an independent contractor. And I literally, if I don't, you know, sell and push myself, you know, obviously I'm not making any type of income. So, you know, what did I really want to do is something like this. I'm in a band, I'm a drummer, I'm in 2 bands, you know, and I push that as well. But at the same point, it's like, I want, you know, during this time, it pushed me to get out of my comfort zone, you know, use means of like buying shit that I would never want to use, but I need to learn, like this interface that we're using right now for the show, the Focusrite, got some sounds and I'm plugging them because they're great because they do the pay to play thing, but I would never do that on my own. So this, and have to record myself and learn how to do this. And then I had a conversation with Mike because we were talking about marketing, but we also started talking, oh man, it would be cool if there was like a podcast out there or a way to really give back those relationships that we have and get a look behind the curtain on different perspectives and this is a perspective of what goes on in the industry. So we want to give the viewer or listener the chance to learn and hear about what it's like behind the scenes. So I'm glad that we're doing this, and hopefully it resonates with you out there, the listener, and you're able to find a little more, value in what you're doing yourself, and kind of just the whole fact of what do they call that? The camaraderie that's actually out there that you're not getting. I hope you find it within us. So,
Absolutely.
So we've taken a lot of your time today, and so I want to focus on one more subject.
Sure.
And you can either punt this away or you can talk about it. It's up to you.
All right.
I want to be respectful in this situation, but we have come up on the 2-year anniversary of Vinnie Paul's death.
Right.
You were very close to him for many years. What's the, how do you deal with that, man? I mean, like, that's like, cause I met him and I met his brother and stuff like that. And they always seem like the most jovial, kindest, most, welcoming guys. And I would figure as a boss, he was just as fun in that respect. I mean, obviously there's got to be a huge hole in that situation. And you
there is,
and as I know, a lot of people who are around that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to deal with. It's still hard on a daily basis because there's still a part of you that doesn't want to believe it, but there's a very large part of you that knows you have to believe it. And luckily I was raised, with the parents that I had, and my father being the way he is. He was the most jovial but stoic when he had to be, in situations such as this. So I learned it a lot from him. And, and my mom, and just having to be strong for people who can't. And so I figure it kind of goes back to me working for Vince in the first place. I'm just put on this planet to take care of other people and look after them and make sure that they're okay. And that goes for, the family and the friends that we all call family. And that means that, my time for grieving occurs on my own time, and I just take the things that he's taught me, and between him and Dime, I mean, and I didn't know Dime. I mean, my extent of knowing Dime was running to him at like 7-Eleven, or running into him at, whatever bar or whatever, back in the day. But when I first started working for HellYeah, I would get left little clues in the form of dimes. And it was always on the day when I was having, just a shit ass day. Didn't see them any other times. And there were like these little clues that, for me, it was like, you're supposed to be here to take care of him. That's why you're here. I was like, okay, I'm cool, done. And it happened throughout the whole time of working for HellYeah up till now. And it still happens. I'll be at my house and, walk across a room I just mopped and cleaned and swept, and there's a damn dime out of nowhere. And to me, that's a nod from Vince.
Wow.
It's all cool.
That's insane.
And it happens a lot. I mean, a whole lot. So that's the way I do it. It's just a matter of taking care of everybody else, because that's why we still got to be here,
Yeah.
Good.
You and I both are personal, we both know Roy Mayorga, who
love that dude.
who does not love Roy and Cassie, who's Roy's wife and their daughter Nika. Amazing fucking family, amazing fucking people.
Amazing family. Yes.
But I remember I was at the Mark Morton show, and Roy was going to sit in with Mark Morton, and we were talking, and he goes, "Hey, I got asked to be in HellYeah. Don't tell anyone yet." And I go, no fucking way. I said, dude, there's no one better for that job than you. I said, you're like a historian of drums. Like, you'll totally preserve his legacy by playing in that band. And give me kind of, because I mean, obviously you knew Roy over the years touring with when Stone Sour would tour, or when he was in Soulfly or whatever. But like, was it? And I mean, Roy, shout out to you. I love you, dude. But was there, I mean, obviously you guys, there had to be that conversation of like, who's gonna do this tour? Because I know to the band, it's very important to keep Vinny's legacy as it should be, alive and intact.
Right.
And so what was that, if you can say, what was that kind of like? Was it around the tribe said, you know, we should talk about Roy, or
Right. No, it was awesome, man. Tell you what, when they told me, they were like, hey, Roy's going to come on and he's going to do this this tour with us. And I was just like, well, fuck yeah, that's going to be awesome. So I talked with Roy ahead of time, and I flew out to his place and went through his kit with him and Abel. And Abel, I mean, just welcoming, wonderful experience the whole trip. You know, between Roy's family and Abel and everybody, it just came in. It was a great fit, and I knew from the get-go how Roy, you know, the way his mind works and how devoted he is to preserving that legacy and wanting to do it, you know, the best justice he could possibly do it. You know, he wanted to keep it 100% Vince, and he spent months working his ass off to make sure that he did everything exactly right.
Oh yeah.
And he just slammed it home, man. He fucking blew it out of the water. It was great.
So Roy's wife cuts my hair. And so I go over there once a month, once every 2 months. And I would go into his, you know, say hi to him in the studio or whatever. You can see his at his house. And I would walk in and the kit was set up like Vinnie Paul's. And I was like, bro.
That's cool.
And he played it for me and I was like, bro. It's like, so it was very interesting. And it just to me, I always felt like who else were you going to get for that job? I thought Roy was the perfect foot to shoe, so to speak.
Yeah, it you know, that it worked out so well. You know, he and Kyle had been in bands together years and years ago, and that all worked out really well. So the camaraderie, you know, he'd known us for years and years, and you know, known Chad and everybody. I mean, all of us. So you know, we all toured together before. Yeah, it was all family. So it was an easy fit to slide him into that point, personality wise. You just knew that it was going to work out okay. And then we'd work out, and some of the stuff that, you know, it always amazed me because Roy's I mean, he's a great human being and a badass drummer, a musician, period. And so some of the nights he'd come off the riser and he was like, you know, but how was it? Was it good? And I was like, yeah, you know, it was fucking phenomenal. That was greatness, you know. And he's like, okay, I just want to make sure that it was, you know. I was like, dude, no, 100%, you did great, you know, badass. You know,
yeah, I mean, I saw the show in LA, you know, and thanks to you and Roy for
sure
inviting us down, and actually me and my friend Stella, but you know, hey Stella, my good friend Stella De La Mora, shout out to you. But you know, I just was amazed how close to the record it sounded between Tom, Kyle, you know, Chad and Roy, just pounding the shit out of stuff, man. It was great. It's just great.
Yeah. Vinny would be proud.
Yeah,
he would. Yeah, he'd be very proud.
I would definitely say so.
And
I felt like Vinny shined every night, just you know, watching it from on high somewhere, you know. And speaking of going back, I got to rewind a second. When you were talking about how to deal with certain things during one of the tours, and this comes back to Roy playing as well. During one of the tours, my father passed away while I was on tour, and it all happened, you know, that day leading up to it. 5 minutes before the show, I got the call from my son who said my father passed away. So I remember, so the band knew what was going on, that things were going rough, but they didn't know the final answer. And I got up on stage and I look over at Vinny and Chad. And Chad's looking at me like, what happened? And I just kind of went like this. And he was like, fuck. So he's like, come here. So I gave him a hug. And then Vinny looks at me. He goes, look at it this way, brother. Your dad's got the best seat in the house right next to Dimebag watching this fucking show. This one's for him. And I was like, oh, shit. You know? So that comes back to, like, you know, whenever thinking about Vince being gone, you know, and the way that Roy picked up the torch and was like, you know, this is all for him. We got to do it right. We got to do it right every night. We got to slay this. And if Roy had the slightest off night, he was so, you know, he was upset about it. You know, he's hard on himself about it. I was like, you did great, dude. You did great. He's like, no, I can do better. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's
he wanted to carry that torch. It's great.
That's what makes him great, and that's what makes people that get into these types of situations, which aren't often, right? But those are the right ones that you want to carry the.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna showcase your granddaughter because that'd be awesome.
I think so. Where are you at, kid? Are you hiding? Where are you? Is she with you?
That place is big.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Text
It's
dollars at work,
huge.
bro. Text dollars
Trust
at work.
me, it's the best. It's huge.
It's huge.
I don't do
It's
a good
great
job.
for Southern California. It's freaking
huge.
huge.
Believe me, I know what I'm talking about.
You would get nothing better in Carlsbad. Nothing better.
Right.
Another impression I'm doing.
Yeah. I'm not gonna make any money off of that one. Believe me.
Huge. Nothing better.
Huge.
We're getting back to work. No, but yeah, but I mean, you know, back to Roy. I mean, I've known Roy, and like we reconnected through Stone Sour when Shaw started working for them. But he was one of the first sound guys who ever taught me anything in New York.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he was always like this very like kind of gruff dude, and I respected the shit out of him because he was fucking one of the best, dude. He would do sound at CBGB's, Wetlands, all these. Yeah, Roy, man, he was fucking. Oh yeah. Like Roy is a genius engineer as well. Like not just this, you know, rock star drummer. Like if you talk about guys who are so technically smart, so brilliant as musicians, Roy Mayorga is the all around package. Hands down.
Absolutely.
Hands freaking down. Not only is he a good friend of mine, and his family is, you know, but they literally, I mean, he literally is just, I mean, he is a beast.
Yep.
If the world
saw that,
box unpacked, whoa, watch out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's serious.
But that's the brilliant part. He's you know, and the most humble too.
Yeah.
You know, there's no attitude, no bullshit that comes along with it. You know, and he's very grateful as well. Very thankful for every opportunity he's had. And I love that about him, you know. What's not to love about the dude? Shit. Don't mean to kiss your ass, Roy. I really don't.
Hey, Mayorga. Mayorga, get over here.
That's how Vince used to always say his name.
Mayorga, get over here. But hey, man, I'm not going to pull you away from your family anymore. I know you're here for a short period of time in California. And, but man, it was a pleasure having you on the show. And we're going to.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks. Yeah,
Definitely.
Looking forward to it, man. Love it, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, PK.
You bet.
See you soon.
Talk soon.
Absolutely. Hey, man, get you some. Go
Get you some. Get you a pull.
Go and brew that up, man.
Brew that up, man. Brew it up. Thanks, King.
You bet. Love you guys. Y'all take
Love
care.
you too, man.
See you soon.
Be cool.
All right. Bye.
Okay, we're gonna keep this rolling. Since we had such a big break in the middle.
That was an experience.
That was a show.
That was awesome.
I got teary-eyed at the end and we started talking about Vinny, and I knew that question was going to kind of
has to, man, because that's huge.
Put it there. And you know, again, we talk on the show about people who really want to be in the business, really want to do it as a career. You know, he said, you know, he made a really good point. He talked about, you know, hammering shit out of a fucking cement mixer or whatever it was after a 16-hour day. He's grateful for where he's at.
Yep.
You know, and and I think people might see the whole "don't be a dick" thing as a crass idea, but the thing is it's the truth.
It really
there's not a malicious bone in P. King's body. I know that because I've hung out with him a ton and talked to him a ton, but like,
there's not a malicious bone, and I don't think anybody's that we've interviewed so far. And the commonality between everybody is, you know, they have line. Very respectful, and very grateful for what they're doing, and they're doing it because they want to provide something great of value that's going to give service and provide the end user, the listener, and a great experience. And they're all about that. They're not in it just to go tell their friends, hey, look what I'm doing. This is a guy that's like behind the curtain, fucking, you know, getting up early as fuck while the band's still sleeping and getting everything set up. And when they come off their bus, they're ready to fucking rock. And it's because of guys like that and Steve and even Dave to an extent. So it's
I think
pretty,
it's all in the preparation of what you do, pushing your craft towards other people and how that kind of works.
and how he got into it too is just such it's like
Crazy thing. Like he wasn't.
financial shit, and then just asked to,
I forgot about the Vegas part. He had told me that when I first met him, like, that he was a musician and guitar player, and they were doing these parodies in Vegas, and Vinny had produced the show, and it totally slipped my mind because it's been, God, P King for maybe almost 2 years now. Long time.
I mean, he has a really cool story, man, and it's cool how just his mindset, like he's just fallen into these situations that led to other situations, and because of the way he is as a person, his character, he just attracts that type of those types of situations. And
and it kind of shows, you put that energy out into the universe, it shows what you get back. I think that people are too far cynical and push stuff away from themselves just because of that. It was interesting. I was talking to a kid yesterday who's in medical school, and he's trying to be a heart surgeon. He's a first-year med student.
God bless him, man.
And he made a very good point to his cousin who we were with at lunch. And he said, he goes, dude, you got to understand about medical school. He goes, and we were kind of talking about, him and his cousin and I are work together at our day job. And he was telling me that, that you could, I said, how does that work with a specialty like that? Like, how does it work? Is it intern, resident, fellowship? How does that work with a surgeon? I said, how are you? And his cousin goes, well, you're going to be in medical school for 10 years. And he got to the point, long story short, he goes, dude, bro, he goes, if you can't get along with the chief surgeon, they won't hire you.
Makes sense. Can't be fucking arguing.
Because life and death is on the line in that situation. They won't hire you. Now go back to P. King, right? What he was saying, it's like, there is no failure.
Yeah.
There is no failure in this situation.
You have to make it work.
You have to make it work. I mean, the story about his dad passing away, and getting the call 2 minutes before he has to go do a show. Like
and the band doing that for him, and like, that shows the metal scene. Like, it's people, bands are like, oh, I think there's just some type of
the community. My sister says it because it's a funny thing. So my sister Rachel was dating this guy years ago, and the guy's sister was dating Mark Asageta from Death Angel. Okay, I'm personally, I know Mark now, but like, I'm a huge Death Angel fan.
School.
And it's very interesting, like how my sister describes, and we went to our first Death Angels concert. Mark invited us to go see them when they played at the Roxy here in town. And we joke around that the only metal band my sister likes is Death Angel, which is the truth, because that's all she knows. And I think she might know one song, which is like my favorite song, which is Seemingly Endless Time. And so, some friend was asking her at a party, like, oh, what do you, metal? Like, she was bashing on it. There was kind of like an off comment about it. And she goes, no way, dude. She's like the community, the things they're surrounded by, and the brotherhood and the fellowship in the metal community, in the music community in general, I think in a lot of ways is huge. You're there for one common goal
in the moment,
and you probably have similar frustrations or like experiences that you share with your fellow fan. That's why you're there. And so to me, that's what makes, being on the road. The other thing too, with being on the road like that and being with a major band is the sense of family, the sense of the sense of the pirate ship. So by saying that, I mean, you probably spend more time with those folks on the road than you do with your own family. Better get along.
there's one common goal in mind. So that
Yep.
gives you a purpose. And now this is something I'm going to tap into. I haven't experienced that to the extent you have or P. King has, but I could tell you in the local community, the local scenes, the bands that are, up and coming, that's missing. That is a missing element that needs to be. That's the whole reason why I wanted to do this in the first place, because
Right.
there's a lot of, I'm not sharing that. I'm not liking that. Dude, what happened? We need to have that brotherhood type of sense of camaraderie and just like support out there, because it's missing. So when you're talking about that experience, I'm coming from wanting to have that experience, and coming from that aspect, I want to put that back out there and inject that into what we're doing on our daily, weekly, monthly basis, but in a way that's just understand. So there's that brotherhood within the band, but when it comes to a band and another band, there's right now it's like, oh no, we're not going to support each other. We're not going to cross promote. I wouldn't do that, but check out my band. No,
Sure.
man. What about this? Here's a gift for you guys. Go check this out. Hey, by the way, this band here is great. You guys should check them out. And just that, like I said, that Murder in the Front Row documentary, that's missing from the
dude, it's a very simple concept, and it goes back to this, what Abraham Lincoln said, a house divided falls.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm paraphrasing the quote, but house divided falls.
I get it.
We're not as good as one as we are as many million.
We're better as one.
We're better. Yeah, we're better as one, as a collective one. So
exactly.
I think on that note, that kind of sums up this interview today. And oh man,
it was great, man. I'm
blown away, and we're gonna have P. King back for Roadie Roundtable.
Yep.
With a bunch of other people, and exciting stuff coming down the pike for August, guys. I just made a few phone calls today, and we got some really cool things in the works. So you got to stay tuned. Some major artists, some major managers, some new ideas and platforms that are come talk to us on the show, and
some value.
I can't wait.
Value out there that we can put, that you guys can gain from listening, and hopefully apply it to your own experience right now in your own business or band, or wherever you're at in your musical journey. So thank you. And I'm gonna plug Zounds, because if it wasn't for Zounds, I wouldn't be able to be having the quality that I'm conveying right now over the microphone. So thank you.
Thank you, reverb.com. So I got my quality.
Nice. Awesome, man. So I'll see you on the next go.